The way I see aging is that it's the root cause of most disease and disability on the planet. We call the end product of aging in different organs, we call them diseases.
David Sinclair, a prominent biologist, focuses on aging and epigenetics.
This is what I want for everybody. We can all do this if we just know the facts.
As a Harvard professor, he co-directs the Paul F. Glenn Center for Biology of Aging Research. His work explores the understanding of the molecular mechanisms behind aging, potentially paving the way for interventions to extend lifespan.
Yeah, and actually how you live your life has a massive impact on how long you live.
Sinclair has found that in terms of the relation between aging and disease, that we have been treating the symptoms and not the cause.
We're now at a turning point the way we were in the 1970s with cancer and HIV, in the 80s and 90s, where we have a much better understanding of what is causing aging.
So, what are the habits that we all need to abide by in order to extend our lifespan? Because although aging is inevitable in the long run, we are sure to be neglecting many best practices in this moment that are stopping us from beginning this reverse aging process.
And what we've found is that by living a healthy life, the kind of life that we'll talk about later, you can slow that rate of aging and prevent this corruption of the body's software and even reboot it.
And even if you just do the 5 obvious things like don't eat so much, eat less often.
There is a set of genes that I wrote about in my book, Lifespan, that's called the sirtuins. And they get turned on when there's not enough energy in the body. So if you don't have a lot of sugar in your bloodstream or a lot of protein, they will get turned on, and they defend the body against the damage that causes the aging process. And so what I've over time learned to do is to skip meals.
Sirtuins are a family of 7 genes that play a vital role in regulating cellular health, longevity, and stress resistance. They are involved in numerous biological processes, including DNA repair, gene expression, and metabolic regulation. These longevity genes are activated under conditions of low insulin and insulin-like growth factor levels. This is typically achieved through caloric restriction or intermittent fasting, which reduce the levels of these molecules in the body. These sirtuins, however, are suppressed by conditions that lead to high levels of insulin and IGF, such as continuous feeding, especially diets rich in sugar and carbohydrates.
The one main meal a day.
So not malnutrition, of course. You don't want to get too thin, but this 3 meals a day plus snacks is ridiculous. 3 meals a day is too much. Actually, 1 meal is enough for someone like me.
Wow. Yeah, this is new for me too. It's hard actually. When you begin,
very hard.
You feel hungry because you've got those crashes that make you really hungry, and you've got this hormone called ghrelin that makes you hungry. But once you get through that, it takes about 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. So anyone who tries it, make sure that you don't give up early. Just power through, and then your liver will wake up.
Intermittent fasting, according to Sinclair, triggers autophagy, a cellular process that recycles damaged cells, thus promoting various health benefits. These benefits include potential lifespan extension and enhanced protection against diseases such as cancer. By adhering to this fasting model and dietary restrictions, Sinclair believes in leveraging autophagy to optimize health and longevity. His approach underscores the importance of meal timing and caloric restriction, which are central to his dietary philosophy and research on aging and disease prevention.
But also what's important is not a lot of food. These days, I'm stopping eating when I'm about 60-70% full. Our ancestors put on fat and they survived the famine. We don't have famines anymore, thank goodness.
Yeah.
But we've descended from those people. Right. So we've got the genes in our brain that say, eat, eat, eat.
So smokers, you can measure it, are older biologically than people who've never smoked. And it's why they look older too. Tobacco smoking is obviously, it's very clear, that's a decade off your life. And what's interesting is that what we're learning about these various things that you can do to hurt yourself or to protect yourself is that what's happening is that your body is aging at a different rate.
Smoking tobacco is the most preventable cause of morbidity and is responsible for more than 3 million deaths a year worldwide. In addition to a strong association with a number of systemic diseases, smoking is also associated with many dermatological conditions, including poor wound healing, premature skin aging, squamous cell carcinoma, melanoma, oral cancer, acne, psoriasis, and hair loss. Smoking accelerates skin aging and worsens dermatological conditions, such as poor wound healing, acne, and psoriasis. It's linked to oral and skin cancers, hair loss, and premature wrinkles. Tobacco's harmful effects extend beyond systemic diseases, with over 3 million deaths annually attributed to smoking. Quitting can mitigate these impacts. According to David Sinclair, is vaping safe?
I don't think vaping is as bad in terms of the number of chemicals getting into your body.
Yeah.
But we've seen recently it's probably not healthy anyway.
Yeah.
I'm a big advocate for putting nothing artificial in your body, including vaping.
Yeah.
That'll damage your DNA, that'll accelerate the aging process.
We know that smoking makes you age biologically. That's why it makes you look older, smoking. What about drinking alcohol?
Most doctors would say too much beer and other types of food that contain a lot of this type of protein, you will raise your uric acid level. So why does that matter? It's becoming very clear that if you have high uric acid levels, your body will age fast.
Alcohol also affects the brain, potentially causing shrinkage of brain cells, alcohol-related brain damage, and dementia. These conditions manifest as cognitive deficits, including impaired judgment and emotional regulation. Furthermore, alcohol weakens the immune system, increasing susceptibility to infections and complicating common medical conditions like osteoporosis, diabetes, and cardiovascular diseases. The prolonged presence of alcohol in older adult systems exacerbates these health risks, especially when combined with medications, leading to severe side effects and interactions. Thus, alcohol significantly accelerates the aging process through multifaceted and interrelated pathways.
We just had Dr. David Perlmutter on, who has a book about uric acid, talking about like this is one of the root causes of poor health and aging faster and things like that. So the lower the level, the better.
Right.
The higher the level means there's risk for what?
Everything, according to David. It's really bad for cancers and heart disease mainly. But I think he's right, that it's a sign of accelerated aging.
The higher the uric level, the faster you're going to be aging.
Yeah.
And a larger amount of consumption of alcohol, specifically beer, I'm hearing raises that level.
Beer in particular has a lot of the chemicals in it that will raise uric acid, unfortunately.
Next one would be the obvious, high intensity interval training. Lose your breath once in a while. Tell your body that you're being chased by a saber-toothed tiger or something like that. The reason all of this stuff works in terms of the diet and exercise, it's not that your blood flows more or that being hungry is just healthy for the body. It's actually that your longevity genes get turned on by these things. And why does that happen? Why does it happen in humans, in mice, even in yeast cells for bread and beer? The reason is that the body senses adversity and says, crap, we got to fight back. We might die next week without food, and we're running away from tigers and lions. That's what this survival network, this longevity gene.
Survival mode, as illuminated by recent research, triggers a cascade of genetic responses aimed at enhancing longevity and overall health. David Sinclair emphasizes the significance of subjecting the body to mild stressors reminiscent of ancestral challenges, thereby activating an evolutionarily conserved survival network. This network, governed by longevity genes, initiates defensive mechanisms in response to perceived adversity, akin to being pursued by predators or facing scarcity of resources. Contrary to prevailing norms of comfort and convenience, Sinclair advocates for occasional discomfort, such as physical exertion or hypoxic conditions induced by high-intensity interval training, to activate these longevity genes. Studies dating back to 2000 and subsequent research support the efficacy of lifestyle interventions in reducing mortality rates by tapping into the body's survival mechanisms. Sinclair's insights extend beyond physical stressors to encompass the importance of intermittent fasting and other stress-inducing practices to activate longevity pathways. He underscores the paradoxical nature of human health. Embracing occasional discomfort and adversity may hold the key to unlocking longevity and vitality in an era marked by unprecedented comfort and abundance.
So it turns it on when it feels like it's in survival mode.
That's it. We want to be in survival mode, and we spend our whole lives trying to reduce our adversity.
Right, being comfortable.
Right.
Being
Don't be
warm all the
hungry.
time. Yeah.
Don't be puffed. Don't walk. Valet your car.
Right.
Roll your suitcase. Don't carry it, for goodness sakes. We've done the worst. No wonder we're getting sicker and sicker.
We're in a world of convenience.
Right, and it's the worst thing we could do
Really?
for our bodies in terms of longevity.
Get control over psychological stress.
Oh yeah. Why is this so important?
Well, the main problem is you have high levels of cortisol when you're stressed out psychologically.
While causality remains elusive, evidence suggests that cultivating a positive outlook and pursuing meaningful goals may counteract the physiological toll of stress, thereby influencing biological age. Ultimately, embracing resilience-building strategies and fostering a sense of purpose may serve as potent buffers against the ravages of psychological stress, offering pathways to enhanced longevity and well-being.
It's clear that people who have really high levels of stress are chronically ill, and even it accelerates gray hair. That's actually a fact. It's not just a myth. You really are getting older. The best example I can tell you is that when people are stressed out, let's say they're in the banking world and they're losing their minds, you can find hairs that start to turn gray. Okay, so you look at them and they're a little bit gray at the bottom. Then they get given a vacation and they go away for a couple of weeks. And guess what happens to the hair shaft?
It gets brown.
It's brown again.
Come on.
You can find these gray-brown segments of hair. And what they tracked it down to was that the cells that make the hair pigment start to shut down, but they can be reinvigorated. I'm the first person to say aging is not unidirectional. In my lab, we're driving it forwards and backwards at will. It's not
That's crazy.
really difficult anymore once you figure it out. Any high school student could do it.